James, are we audible to you?
Yes, Vandita. I can hear you clearly. There you go.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to have with us Mr. James Joseph Galvez, who's one of the youngest and most talented people I've ever come across in my entire career. And it's an honor to have you with us for today's session. And I'm really hopeful that we'll learn a lot out of it and we'll have more sessions with you in the future as well. And today's session, as all of you are aware, it's about live virtual tours or reality. And it's, and trust me, it will be really helpful to all the students and also all the participants out here, because with this pandemic and many more unfortunate aspects coming up in future, this will certainly be one of the most promising aspects, if I feel. So over to you, James. Before that, I would like to request Professor Vandita to please introduce the guest. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Once again, a very good morning to everyone present here. It is our immense pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker for the day, Mr. James Joseph Galvez, World Federation of Tourist Guide Associations National Trainer, Department of Tourism Philippines Trainer and Director, Galvez All-in Travel Philippines. With several years of experience in the tourist guiding industry, he focuses on promoting Philippines tourism as a licensed tourist guide and a trainer. And he has been already invited to hundreds of tourism and hospitality seminars and events. And he has mentored thousands of tourism frontliners in the Philippines as well as around the globe, where he is known to be the proponent of Power of Smile, an extensive customer service workshop in Southeast Asia. He is also a committed youth member of the PATA, where he has recently shared his expertise in virtual tour guiding. Being selected to be one of the 15 tourist guides across the globe, he proudly represented Philippines as the youngest and the only Asian in the World Federation of Tourist Guide Association's hand-on tourist guiding course in the International Training Center in Nicosia, Cyprus last 2019. Also, he was just conferred as the newest and the youngest of the World Federation of Tourist Guide Association's national trainer. He is currently one of the resource speakers and trainer of the Department of Tourism Philippines, while promoting the Philippines with his new travel TV show called What a Beautiful Philippines by Alpha News Philippines and RNG Luzon TV network company. He is also the founder of V Guides Philippines, a group of professional tourist guides offering live virtual tourist guiding services. We welcome you, Mr. James, and request you to kindly proceed with the session.
Hi, good afternoon to all of you, and good morning there in India. Here in the Philippines is already past the hour of 1 p.m. And thank you for welcoming me and for having me for this very wonderful, I would say, lecture for all of our tourism leaders. Youth there in Kolkata, and of course, I would also like to acknowledge of course, our very dynamic head of the Institute, Sir Siddharth Nanda. Good afternoon here in the Philippines and good morning there in India. And of course, my very own good friend, Vandita Hajra. And I'm really excited, even before Vandita has told me that I will be speaking for your institute. And I'm really been preparing for something that's really interesting, since I've been talking to several cities and even countries since June last year. But just to give you an idea, how did I start with this live virtual guiding innovation? um like most of the guides around the globe, I was also that I was also down, because of course I am not used to staying at home, not used of facing facing some of our tourists over the camera or on their laptops, because I am really used of flying elsewhere, not just here in the Philippines but in the nearby countries and even in Asia. And when the pandemic came, it was like my passion, my life was taken from me. So that's also the reason why I came up with something that will motivate not just myself, but also the guiding sector under the tourism industry. And so by May last year, 2020, I was able to come up with this travel innovation. And with the support of the Department of Tourism here in the Philippines, I was also able to come up with a lot of trainings, because it is not just myself who does this live virtual guiding, because for the couple of months I've been training like hundreds of tourist guides, of course, to share this expertise. And I'm really so blessed because the tourism sector has been very welcoming with this kind of innovation. So may I just, before I proceed, may I reconfirm if you would now see my presentation?
Yes, the presentation is visible.
Okay, thank you, Vandita. All right, so again, I am James Joseph Galvez, your World Federation of Tourist Guide Association's national trainer, and thank you for being part of this live virtual tours, a reality. So as you know, I'm from the Philippines. I'm not from the city center or the capital of the Philippines. I am like 4 hours from Manila. So my city is Baguio City. It is the coldest or coolest, I would say, and the highest city in the Philippines. It is actually 1,500 meters above sea level. So, as you know, here in our city, we are really, we are fond of using our jackets, and of course, with the lowlands, they don't usually wear that. But here in our city, it's a mountain city, and it's also like a pretty much a tourist city as well, as being tagged as the summer capital of the Philippines. So, may I also invite you to like my website before we proceed. That is www.lifeofatourguide.com, so that you may also see some of the techniques that I use in the tourist guiding sector. There you can find my experiences, and at the bottom, at the last portion of each of the writings, you can see what are the skills and what are the problems that have been solved during that particular or during those particular experiences that I've handled some of our tourists here in the Philippines and around the globe. And I also would like to invite you to also follow my Instagram account, that is Life of a Tourist Guide. Okay, so I'll see you there once we have concluded this lecture. So, to give you an idea, the scope of our webinar or this lecture would be the virtual tourism defined. So we will be having this differences, or we will be setting this definition of virtual tourism or the virtual tour guiding in the virtual tourism perspective. We will also be defining the role or redefining the role of the tourist guides, as well as this tourist life cycle. I know you already have an idea about this tourist life cycle, but I would just like to emphasize that this tourist life cycle is very essential to all the tourism practitioners, because we do are working under the same industry here, and it is also important for us to have this tourist life cycle to imbibe within ourselves, because this will serve as our Bible, this will serve as our guide whenever we give services, whenever we ought to give that perfect smile that we need from our tourists or from our visitors. At the same time, I will also be sharing with you some of the tips for you to have this successful commentaries, and what is it like to guide in the new normal. Okay, and at the end of the session, I have prepared five learning outcomes or objectives. These are establish, learn, strengthen, understand, and build. First, establish the roles of the tourist guides as ambassadors of tourism. Of course, as you know, we don't just do or do the storytelling itself. We don't just construct our the information and blend it with the entertainment that we need to deliver with our tourists. Of course, we also have to invite to gear up ourselves as branding our each cities, our each destinations, or even its own our own countries because we are the ambassadors of the goodwill, and learn the techniques on managing a live virtual tour. So when we talk about learning the techniques, I am now sharing with you both the soft and the hard skills, since we will be dependent on technology. Of course, important is very essential whenever we do live virtual tour guiding experiences. And what are the other elements that we need for us to give a memorable live virtual guiding experiences? Another, of course, is to strengthen the guiding sector and also to inspire all of you with this kind of innovation, and with the hope that for myself, I hope that at the end of the webinar, you may also be able to come up with your own live virtual guiding experiences to be offered not just there in India but globally, because the market here, the tourists here are not limited with the locals, because with the use of the technology we are now reaching to far, like at the other side of the globe. So like here in the Philippines, we are now marketing the Philippines to some other countries, like in Europe, in America, in Australia, and some other parts of the world. And of course, to understand the importance or significance of the balance of information and entertainment. This has been an issue with a lot of tourist guides around the globe, because oftentimes they miss that element of entertainment. Most of the time, the tourist guides are invited with information. They are very knowledgeable. You know, I have a lot of friends who are like that, but they miss this entertainment side. So, this particular kind of webinar that you are in right now will help you understand that there should be a balance of information and entertainment. It's not all about the information. So, it has to be 50% information and 50% entertainment whenever you deliver your commentary as tourist guides. And lastly, build optimism. Like earlier, I was saying that I was also down. But of course, this is not just to encourage all of you, faculty, and of course, our students who are with us right now. I would like to just say that perhaps you are in the best industry. Okay, you are in the best industry wherein millions, not just thousands, not just hundreds, but millions of tourists would always want to make themselves comfortable, to experience the leisure life, perhaps, or to even learn the culture and natural heritage that we have. And us tourism practitioners, and even with the hospitality sector together with them, we ought to give this satisfaction, okay? That satisfaction that they need from their tired body, from their stressful life. So, and we are here to give them smiles that they need. Okay, so I hope you now realize, more importantly, that you are in the best course. And don't give up, because your tourism instructors, your professors, us, the tourism practitioners, are here to guide you to become successful in the industry. All right. So as we move on to our first module, let me just share with you the World Federation of Tourist Guide Association's Code of Guiding
James, can I
Practice.
just interrupt you for a moment? I'm
Oh, yeah,
really
sure.
sorry. Yeah, have you been changing the slides, because we are still on the first slide? I mean, that is what is showing on the screen right now.
Oh, let me check.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm already at the fifth slide. Hold on. Uh-huh. Okay. I'm sorry if I wasn't able to check that out. Let me see. Hmm.
I believe we can go to the slideshow, and the complete view will be available from there.
Yeah. I don't see the share button here. Let me see. I only see the. Hold on. Okay. I'm sorry, but I don't see the share screen. Is there any way?
You can see your PPT. Just enlarge the slide. Can you just go down to the can you see that percentage on the left hand side of the percentage? There is an enlarge button. Just you can click on that, then the PPT will appear full.
Oh, there you go. Okay. I think I
Okay.
just needed to
Just share it
click
once more.
on.
Just share it once more. I think it's the one generated. Just share it once more. Just can
Okay.
you see that? Yes, on yes. Just click on that once.
Okay. Can you now see the slide?
1 second.
All right. Do you now see the presentation?
No, we can see the presentation, but it is not.
Sorry. Let me see.
Professor Vandita, can you just
James,
take?
if if there is a reading mode that is available, if you can go to that.
Uh, do you now see it?
Yes, we can see the screen. All right. I think if it's, we can go ahead with this
Yes,
only.
we can go ahead with.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So perhaps we can now go ahead. Let me just again give a quick run through on the earlier presentation. Of course, the scope and the objectives, and now we move on to the actual lecture. So is it now clear, Vandita? May I now proceed?
Yes, you
Okay.
may please proceed. Yeah.
All right, thank you again. So going back to our lecture, I am now ready to share with you the code of guiding practice of the World Federation of Tourist Guide Associations. I'm very sorry because whenever we do it live, there has been a lot of issues, especially technical issues. But I am glad that you are now seeing my presentation. So, as a tourist guide, of course, we are ought to provide a professional service to visitors, professional in care and commitment, and of course always be very objective and that understanding of a place, and of course free from any judgment. So this is how we always have to think of whenever we are in front, or perhaps in a live virtual tourist, or even in the physical guiding. So this is also the same with what we do in our field. So there has to be free from all of the things, all of the commentaries that we give should always be free from a prejudice. Another second is to ensure that what is presented as fact is true. Okay, so we should not be inventing stories. Rather, we have to come up with this structured commentary that we have to deliver to our virtual tourists, and come up with that clear distinction that display between the truth, stories, and legends or opinions. Okay? And number three, to act fairly and reasonably. When we now talk about acting fairly and reasonably, it is where we now consider all of the tourism sectors within the industry. For example, I am the tourist guide, and I now bring my tourist in a particular place. Of course, example, I bring them in a souvenir shop, and then there are also a lot of souvenir shops, not just one, perhaps five of them. Okay, and you don't just bring your tourists in one souvenir shops, okay, in a one souvenir center. You have to also recommend the nearby, or all the souvenir shops there in the area, so that the tourists will also be able to enjoy, and that fairness of having this equal earnings among them will also be given. Okay, I am now talking on the on the physical guiding here, just to give you an idea how we do it based on the code of guiding practice. And another is of course, you in a moving vehicle, you should not forget acknowledging the driver, or the coordinator of a particular travel agency. And also the same with the virtual guiding itself. You don't forget to also acknowledge all the tourism sectors that are present in your own material. So you always have to act fairly and reasonably. Okay, number 4 is, of course, to protect the reputation of tourism in our country or each country by making every endeavor treated with respect. Okay, whatever their gender would be, of course, very important, their religion, there has to be respect all the time. And even with all other sectors in the industry. Now, given an example in a physical guiding, as we relate to the code of guiding practice, if you are us guides, if we are in an area with a group of tourist guides, we don't just deliver our commentaries if we know that there's a group nearby. Of course, we have to be very cautious in terms of the spacing. At the same time, we also have to tone down and think of where we could have or we could deliver our commentary. Where would be the best side without compromising the earlier group of tourists with the tourist guides in that particular site. So that is how we now understand this respect element under the Code of Guiding Practice. And
James,
lastly, as
James,
the ambassadors of tourism, as the
James,
ambassadors of the host country,
James,
we welcome
James,
visitors and act to bring credit. We always
James, are
share.
you audible? James, I'm really sorry to interrupt you. Can you please change the slides because the slides is same as before. It's not changing.
Sorry, don't you see the slide?
No, we can see the
We
slides,
can
but
see the
Okay.
slide.
it's
We are
yeah.
actually on the
On,
WFTGA Code of Guiding Practice.
Yes.
So it has not moved on from there.
Oh,
So probably you have to click on each of the slides and then only we can see the change.
oh yeah. All right. So do you now see what do you now see on the slide now? May I ask?
Yeah, we can see the WFTGA
Oh.
Code of Guiding Practice. Now we can see, is this profession really for you?
Okay. All right. I think we are now on this part.
Right.
Okay, good. So
even
do
I
you now
think
see the guides as ambassadors of tourism?
yeah, the slide is this profession really for you?
Okay. Let me see if let me share it again with you.
In the meantime, I would request Professor Vandita to also take control of the request control so that if James is having any issue, we can
Sure.
help it. And,
Okay,
Yes.
no problem. Okay.
yeah, it's quite visible now.
All right.
We are, I think, on the slide guides as ambassadors of tourism.
Yes, yes. Perfect. I think
Perfect.
we are now ready. Okay. So I'm
Thank
sorry. Apology for the
you.
technical
No, no, it's so,
difficulty.
please.
All right.
Nothing is in our hands, but the session slides are very interactive. Thank you. Please proceed.
All right. So as we continue our lecture, we are now ready to mention to or share with you this, of course, guys, as ambassadors of tourism. So we have just prepared four of it. That as ambassadors of tourism, the tourist guides are experts on all things around them. Okay, we are the beacon of each of the details of the destination or the city or the province or the region perhaps that within your jurisdiction. Here in the Philippines, the biggest jurisdiction is regional tourist guides. May I ask there in India, what is the biggest jurisdiction? I am not talking about. Do you have like this national tour guides accreditation in India? May I ask some of our participants? How do you go with the accrediting your accreditation of the tourist guides? Okay.
Students, I hope the
Mm-hmm.
questions are very clear to you, so you can please go ahead and answer. You can please
Mm-hmm.
unmute yourself and you can please answer.
Anyone who also would like to become a tourist guides among our students? May I ask if
Yes, Shrishta has raised her hand. Shrishta, please go ahead.
hi Shrestha, good morning.
Hey,
Shrishta,
good
please
morning,
answer.
James. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Shrestha. Yes, good morning. I'm glad that you are here with us right now. Shrestha, may I ask if you also want to become tourist guides there in India in the near future?
Yes, I had researched about it a bit in our India how it works, and we have seen that we have certain accreditations by the government for which we need to have before becoming a tourist guide, and there are certain programs which we need to be enrolled in.
All right, perfect. Thank you, Shrestha. I am now seeing this light that perhaps not just in the Philippines that our students are really interested with the tourist guiding services, but even there in India. So perhaps your professor Vandita will be very much glad to also guide you if you really want to become successful tourist guides in the near future. Okay, thank you, Shrestha. And another, of course, as ambassadors of tourism, you are also a local. Okay, who is passionate about the area and is dedicated to revealing the secrets of India. So, speaking of secrets, may I ask once more among our participants, what would be the secrets that we, or perhaps I, as a Filipino, does not know about something that I don't know about Kolkata or India, perhaps? Is there anything that you would also want to share with us? Anyone who would like to share? What's that something that hidden in Kolkata or in India that you would also want to tell to the world? Anyone? Okay, so while we're waiting for someone who's really interested to share their thoughts, of course, as ambassadors of tourism, we do understand, okay, the importance of local tourism. Uh, we now we now understand the connection of each of the tourism sectors that the hotel should also work on with the travel services, with the travel industry, and with that, the tourist guides will also work hand in hand with the tourist with the travel agency at the same time and with the transport sector. So all of the sectors should also be there in within the scope of the tourism. Now we move on to our activity. This is to let you know, or this is to somehow know your readiness in the industry as tourist guide. So, is this profession really for you? Knowing that the code of guiding practice and our short lecture of that slide on the of being of tourist guides as ambassadors of tourism, is this profession really for you? So perhaps we can now share, Vendita, the activity after after this slide. Okay. Okay, so there you go. So I have prepared a short activity for all of you students for us to know how we are ready in the near future to become tourist guides, or are we now geared up with this particular skills for us to manage a group of people or even to bring them to destinations? So I will be giving you 10 minutes to answer each item based on how you honestly feel about each item. So sorry, 30 items. So I have prepared 30 items for you to answer or score them from 1 to 10. Okay? Example, if you are interested in arts, please score that 10, or if not so interested, perhaps 5, 4, or 6. And same goes with all other items that you are now seeing on screen. Okay? And then after 10 minutes, we will be going back to you. I will be going back to you to again for us to consolidate all your answers, and then later after we reveal the your readiness in the industry as tourist guides. Okay, are the instructions clear, my dear participants? Yes. All right. Good. So, are there any questions so far before I give you your time?
I think one of our students, Debalina, he had raised her hand for maybe she wants to share something.
Okay.
Debalina, please go ahead.
Uh, a very good afternoon, sir, as it's the time in your country, and a very good morning to all of the respected teachers and all my friends present here. So, sir, before you ask the question, that fun fact about Kolkata, which you being a Filipino might miss out on. So, India is very famous for Taj Mahal, which I guess everyone knows around the world. But fun fact is, the marbles that had been used in Taj Mahal is also used to make Victoria Memorial in Kolkata. It's a great
Wow.
tourist site, yes, and it's humongous, and there is lots to see. It was made for Queen Victoria to celebrate her 25 years of reign in India. So many might know about this, so I'd just like to add that.
Wow, very interesting. Thank you so much, my dear student, my dear participant. So now I am more enticed to visit India, but perhaps very soon when our borders have opened. Okay, so thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to hearing more of our students later as we finish our first activity. Okay, so I I think we're now ready to give the 10 minutes. I think we just have to stick with the 30 items, Vandita. Is that okay? There you go. Okay. Okay. So on my time, it's 2 p.m. I believe on your time there in Kolkata, it's if I'm not mistaken, 12:30. No, is it 12:30? Vandita?
It's
Am I?
11:30 actually.
11:30. Sorry. There you go. Okay. So we will get back to you in 10 minutes time. Okay. Enjoy. But perhaps if some of you has already completed the 30 items, please do type in your answers on the chat box so that later after we will know your readiness as a tourist guides there in your country. Okay, this is very interesting. And of course, your readiness to become live virtual tourist guides. So with item number 13, are you okay with walking for 4 hours straight? Another is with item number 15, retain enthusiasm. Okay, so we now reveal the results. So while you are computing or while you are adding your scores, these are the results. So if your score is between 220 and below, you are still in the forming stage. Wherein we define this forming stage where you still need to learn more of the techniques, learn more of the skills for you to handle tourists. Okay, and on the second level, which is the storming skills, it will just tell you that you are already gearing on being a licensed tourist guides, but there's something that is stopping you. Okay, there's something that holds you back and that you need to work out before you even face our tourists. So it's also the same with the forming stage, but this is it's another level wherein just one step in just one step you are now ready to welcome the tourist. And in the norming stage wherein if you get 240 to 260 with your total scores, it just means that you are really, you are ready, you are prepared, you are meeting the expectations of the tourist. Okay, you are giving them smiles, you are hitting the expectations that the tourists are ought you to do. With the performing stage 261 and 280, this is now where you exceed, okay, where you exceed the expectations of the tourist. And lastly, highly effective, this means that you are in the best industry, that this particular kind of work is really suited for you. Okay, so again, this is just to let you know your readiness in the industry. All right. So we now proceed. All right. So this tourist life cycle, like I was saying earlier, is very important and crucial for all of us. Just a quick run through on how a tourist would go. Of course, they will start with dreaming and discovering a place or a destination. Okay, so this is the first stage, and then after that, they will be jumping on to the planning and comparing stage. So so the tourist now will think, is it better to go to Kolkata or is it better to fly to Mumbai or to Bombay? So they will now compare in terms of their need as a tourist. And this is also where they now compare the accommodations and transportation. Will they be staying in a hotel or in a lodging or in a homestay? And now they will now be jumping onto the booking stage, which is the third stage. Okay, so this is where the money comes in. Then on the fourth stage, this is where most of the tourism products, tourism travel services are in action. Even the tourist guides, are also here in the travel stage. And also, after we have already given the experience, the services, the tourists would now either share their experiences to their families or to their friends, and perhaps return once more to the destination that you have presented. And of course, it's very crucial that the fourth stage should be delivered really well, because this is where we perform. Okay, this is where we perform our obligations as tourist guides. But that is before the pandemic. The tourist guys pre-pandemic are at the fourth stage, and of course, with the hope that we after at the post-pandemic, once the pandemic has ended, still we go back with this fourth stage. But right now, we are now helping the travel agents, the tourism ministry, to dream and discover about the place. So we are now jumping on to the first stage, because right now we are still at homes. We cannot even go out. The government will always want us to stay at home. I'm pretty sure most of the countries around the globe are also doing the same, that they encourage their citizens to stay at home. So as tourist guys, to continue that passion within us, this particular innovation would be a very good avenue for us to also continue the passion and promote perhaps the destinations, helping the tourism services sector, the travel agencies, dream and discover amongst, of course, the tourists that are ought to also visit our city. So that is now the trend. Okay, but again, with the hope that it will be bounced to a physical visit to our destinations. Okay, so I hope that's clear to all of you. All right, so we proceed. We now define very quickly virtual tourism as the use of technology to artificially enhance or create a tourism experience. So we now use the word technology here, because without technology, we cannot, of course, reach out the most number of people globally. I cannot even face you right now and speak for Amity University, Kolkata, and even perhaps not meeting your professor Vandita. But of course, that's how we define a virtual tourist guide, a professional who uses the technology to artificially enhance. So we now see that we now create and enhance a tourism experience. What we offer here is a tourism experience, because the way we deliver our commentary is just also the same with the physical guiding, with that of the live virtual guiding. Okay? What do we mean by doing it live? Okay? We do it live because we want to have that connection with our virtual tourist. Because a tourist guide can record him or herself and just upload it on social media, on Facebook, or even on YouTube. But here, we do it live. And there are a number of platforms that we use that later I will be introducing to you very quickly. So now, what are the differences between the face-to-face guiding versus the virtual tourist guiding? Okay, first, of course, in terms of social interaction, with the physical guiding, the safety is the core responsibility of the tourist guides. Okay, remember that, my dear participants. It is the safety that is the main core primary responsibility of the tourist guides. But in the live virtual guiding, of course, the safety is diminished. Okay, it is absent because your tourists, your virtual tourists, may be at the comforts of their homes or in a cafe or in the car watching you over their laptops or using their phones or using their tablets, okay, watching and listening to your presentation promoting your destinations. Another is, of course, freedom and flexibility. Okay, with virtual tourist guiding experiences, you can watch us live virtual tour guides in your bed or even in your living room. Okay, I remember I have also some of my live virtual tourists who watch me, who listens to me while he was cooking. But he was watching me over his smart TV. So there's a huge freedom and flexibility whenever we deliver this live virtual guiding. And in terms of economic impact, of course, the with the virtual guiding, that is just really less, very minimal. Okay, because we just pay our contribution to the internet connection that we have to pay monthly. Well, here in the Philippines, we do pay it monthly, but of course, as to compared with the with the physical guiding, we do pay our taxes because the travel agencies would have to pay us with the services that the tourists have purchased with the travel agency. So just to give you an idea in terms of the economic impact, in the physical setting, of course, in the tourism industry, 1 out of 10 jobs is under the tourism industry. Okay, and we give 10.3% of the global economy, which of course give us this 8.9 trillion US dollars based on the World Travel and Tourism Council. Okay, and of course, if we now compare the pricing or the cost of the particular experience with that of the physical guiding, virtual tours cost really less. Or if not, really, it's more actually free. Because even I myself, when I was starting last May 2020, I've been giving my virtual tour experiences free. But it's just on the latter part of the year where we have come up with this priced costing, of course, for the virtual tourist to pay to witness or to watch or to experience this virtual tours that we or I myself are is offering. And in terms of guiding techniques, well, I would say that it is still the same. Just very quick, just to share with you. Number one, if we talk about handling questions, okay, it is just the same with the live virtual guiding, okay, wherein we don't answer the questions right there and then because, of course, there's a science in handling questions. You have to acknowledge who asked the question first. Okay. The next step would be repeating the question and ensuring that your live virtual tourists have heard or listened the question and answering the question using the KISS. Okay. I'm pretty sure most of you have heard about the KISS. It is the keep it short and simple. Okay, and ensuring that there would be no follow-up questions. Why? Because we are just limited with the number with 1 hour in live virtual guiding. Okay, in terms of rapport, it is just the same. Wherein in the physical guiding, the tourist guide has to speak spontaneously, of course, with breather, with pauses. Also the same with live virtual guiding. But of course, in terms of giving this information and entertainment, you have to ensure that it is a perfect blend. There has to be a perfect blend of information and entertainment. Okay, now we talk about quickly the elements of a live virtual tour. I have prepared five. So a live virtual tour can never be a virtual tour without a device. So you need a device as the tourist guide, as the live tourist guide. You need a device to offer your services. So either your tablet or your mobile phone or laptop, that's okay. But we are ought to I do recommend you using your laptop or computer because you will need your mouse to hover with the Google Street View. Okay, and another element that is also important definitely is internet. Okay, here in the Philippines, we have Globe Internet Provider, PLDT, whatever the internet would provider would be, just ensure that you get this 5 Mbps minimum speed for you to give this smooth uh, virtual guiding experience to your virtual tourist. Okay, another is of course the platform. Okay, here in the Philippines we use the Zoom platform, but we can also use some other medium like Skype, WebEx, or MS Teams as well. So we can also use the social media. Before I've already used some Instagram Live and even Facebook Live. So these are the platforms that you can also use as a live virtual tourist guide. And number four, of course, the audio. Earlier, I've mentioned that your voice can be recorded. Even yourself can be recorded and just uploaded over the social media or YouTube. But again, we do it live. Okay, like this one, like what we are doing right now. Okay, we do it live because we want that rapport, we want that connection with our live virtual tourists. At the same time, the virtual tourists can also ask us. Okay, ask us instantly with their concerns about the destinations that we are presenting. And lastly, the visuals. This is very important. These are very important because these are what they see. Okay, these are the things that they see on screen. Okay, either the photos or the videos. But I do recommend that we use, of course, Google Street View. So if you gather this, all of this in one, you will be giving them a memorable, alive virtual tour experience. All right. So just to wrap up, okay, my presentation, perhaps my last 5 minutes, Vanita, is that okay? I will be introducing to you the Google Street View navigation. Okay, so this is what we use whenever I, myself, and the rest of the live virtual tourist guides here in the Philippines use the Street View. The Street View is a baby of Google Maps. Okay, Google have a thought of completing or navigating all the streets or recording all the streets globally. Okay, 2007. And then 10 years after, 2017, they have launched this Google Street View. So what is Google Street View, or what does it look like? Okay, Google Street View looks like this. Okay, of course, this is the view that you will see if you click Google Maps. Okay, because Google Street View is a baby of Google Maps. This is where you will have to type in first. Example, if you will be presenting Merlion Park in Singapore to your virtual tourist, this is where you will have to do, or this is what you will be doing first. Okay, you have to understand that we have this search engine, viewing engine, and navigation engine. In the search engine on the upper left hand side, this is where you will be typing in the destination that you will be presenting. The viewing engine, either the maps view, the one that you see on your screen right now, or the satellite view. Okay, on the navigation engine, this is where you will see or identify if it's a photosphere or street view. And there is one good friend of mine that is very important, that is very crucial in the live guiding experiences. We call him Pegman. Okay, Pegman is very crucial because he is the one who will navigate you and your tourist or your virtual tourist to Google Street View. So let me just hover you. May I stop sharing, Vandita? So they may see the Google Street View in the last 2 to 3 minutes, perhaps.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Uh-huh. How can I switch? There you go. I think I just need to, and then share another. Okay. So I will now go to Google Chrome. Okay. Do you now see the Google Chrome? Yes. Example. Uh, you would want to show your virtual tourists some parts of Kolkata, all right? So you will just have to type Kolkata on Google search and then click on the maps. The map is found at the lower part of the search engine. So click on the maps. Okay. Click on the maps and then it will give you this interface. So example, you would want to show Indian Museum. Okay? You want to show Indian Museum. So earlier we've mentioned the use of a Pegman that is found on the lower right hand side of the screen. Okay? Here is where you will drag Pegman. There you go. So if you now click Pegman, you will see some of the photospheres, the blue circles. Okay, the blue circles. And if you now direct Pegman to that circle, you will see the actual street view there. Okay, example, this view. Okay, and then you just have to release Pegman. Okay, so this is now the image that uh, brought us with using Pegman. And then with this image, you may now start your commentary as the tourist guide, as a live tourist guide. Of course, you just have to describe the what they see first, because what they see, it has to be described first, and then you now start with your storytelling about what they see with their with the surroundings. Okay, you start with your commentary from this one. Okay, so there. And of course, just to again wrap up, last 1 minute perhaps, Vandita, before the question and answer, I would just like to share how we do our scripting. Is that okay? Hold on. Okay. Let me share the screen once more. So to wrap up our discussion, let me just share with you how we prepare a live virtual tour. Of course, you have to determine your target tourist in terms of because this is where you will be picking picking which language you will be using. If your tourists are all Indians, perhaps you can use your own language or dialect. If there are tourists outside India, foreign tourists, perhaps you will use, of course, English. And your mood. Okay, your mood. If your tourists are kids, definitely you have to be very friendly. The attack would be friendlier as compared with if your tourists are professionals in nature, then there is where you also have to project professionally. And this is also where the tourist guides will use the links and hooks technique in tourist guiding, in live virtual guiding. And you may also decide the type of tour: city tour, modern tour, historical tour, or museum tour. And of course, in preparing your tour script, it is very important to practice your tour script. Okay, and practice it based on your application. Example, if you will be using Zoom or MS Teams, this is where you will also record yourself for assessment. And include enhancers. What do I mean by enhancers? Example, I am talking about this particular cup, and this is now, you show your cup to your virtual tours over the camera, and then you now tell the story of this particular cup using your links and hooks technique. And another is, of course, just have to set the date and time. Of course, you have to ensure that the date and time that you will be giving your live virtual tourist guiding experience has this fastest internet connection. You don't schedule or set that particular schedule if it's rainy season. In our city, in the afternoon, it always rains, so we don't usually schedule that particular live virtual guiding. And of course, you can use free social media to your friends. uh, Start with your friends, and of course, this is now in terms of marketing the live virtual tour. I know this has been a very quick discussion with all of you, but I hope with this session you have learned something, of course, important, and also may inspire you to also do your own live virtual guiding experiences. So from the bottom of my heart, once again, I'm James Joseph Galvez, your World Federation of Tourist Guide Associations and national trainer based here in the Philippines. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, James, for that wonderfully, the presentation was so very well designed, and it was so very informative and as well as inspirational for all of us, for the students, faculties, everyone. We got to learn so many new things, and yes, I know we are almost running out of time now, but still, we'll just take up maybe one or two questions.
Sure.
So, one question for you would be, James, what
Okay.
would be the typical challenges a virtual tour guide might face while, delivering this kind of an experience to the
Oh,
people worldwide?
yes, all right. So for the benefit of everybody, one of the most challenging part of delivering this kind of live virtual guiding experience is really the internet connection. That's one. I would say, since the connection is our best friend, because technically we cannot deliver our live virtual tours without internet connection. But at this other side of the picture, it is also our enemy. So if there's a low internet connection, definitely the full experience might not be that good, or may not be fully be delivered perfectly, as I say. And that's really crucial, and the most challenging part whenever we do deliver our live virtual tour experience. So if some of us would also like to give live virtual tour guiding experiences, ensure that you have a smooth internet connection, because that will really save you.
Okay, before we move on to the last question, I would, like to ask the audience, especially our students, if you have anything to share, if you have any questions from your end, you can please raise your hand. Okay, I think, yes, Vinayak, you can please go ahead with your question.
A very good morning, sir. I am Vinayak. So
Hi,
my
Vinay.
I will try to make it as quick as possible. So as of now, we are at our homes, stuck due to the various lockdown restrictions and all. So virtual is a very good mode for traveling. But if we see in the coming future, once all of these restrictions have been gone, how to maintain the stream? How can we see the future of virtual tourism?
All right. So as I understand the question, how do we maintain the script? Is that the question? Am I right,
So,
Vandita?
yes, sir.
I
Yes, sir.
I think what he is asking is,
Mm-hmm.
how would the virtual tours be relevant when everything comes back to normal?
Oh
Right
yeah.
now, since we are stuck in our homes, yeah. So that
All
is what
right.
I believe Vinayak was trying to ask. Yeah.
You know what? That is a very interesting question because this is one of the challenges whenever when I started presenting this innovation with the tourism ministry here in the Philippines with the Department of Tourism, because of course it's a new concept. It's a new innovation, and not all people, not all practitioners are also do also believe with this particular kind of innovation. And whenever I speak with them, I always say that since the main goal of this live virtual guiding experiences is to really promote the destinations, not just locally but globally, through of course the technology, the use of technology, with high hope that these efforts that we do will translate to a physical visit in the near future. Okay, for example, I now present you the Philippines, and of course, once the borders have opened in the Philippines, we now welcome all other foreign visitors. You already have an idea of our culture, our destinations here, our experiences. So this is one thing that we hope to really believe that perhaps we could be adopted as well by all other sectors in the tourism industry.
Thank you so much. So before we end, we will take another question. So I can see Soham. He has raised his hand. Could you please go ahead?
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I'm Soham, sir.
Good
And
afternoon.
my question was that virtual, as we are aware, that virtual tour guiding has really been beneficial in during this pandemic time. A lot of people have been able to, although they were locked in their houses, they have been able to witness some parts of the world. So, sir, my question is like after now that everything is opening up and soon international borders will also open up, so how can we use this virtual tour guiding as a marketing tool, sir?
I think James has already answered that question just earlier. So uh, I believe we can move on to one last question. That is by Sohan. Sohan, are you there? If you are there, please ask your question.
Yes, ma'am. Very good evening, sir. Very good evening. Very good morning, ma'am.
Hello.
Very good morning, sir. Sir, I've created a virtual tour. I'd like to show it to you. Is it in a correct form?
Sohan, we can do that later on. I think we can share it with Mr. James later on. So, do we have any more questions? We'll take one last question from Srishta.
Hi, Shrestha. Good afternoon.
Srishta, please go ahead. Yeah, I think there is some internet connection. All right. So, thank you once again for patiently answering all the queries. And may I now request Professor Siddharth Nanda sir to kindly round up the session and kindly deliver the vote of thanks as well.
Thank you so much. It was indeed a great session. I was really, I've learned a lot. I'm sure the participants equally have learned. You have focused on tourists' life cycle, scope, and objectives. You have touched upon the tourist guides, how can they become the ambassadors, and how technology can be widely used. What are the codes of guiding practice? How Pegman can be used? How Street View can be used? So these tools were readily available with many of us, but surprisingly, I'm 100% sure 99% of us are not using it, and out of 99%, 98 point some percentage are not aware of it. So the balance between information and entertainment, how infotainment can be so widely used. We have so in a simple language, but yet effectively you have explained it to all the participants, and through activities you have made it so interesting. And we really hope to have more sessions with you in the future as well. And so thank you so much for taking to this session. And we are very grateful on behalf of Amity School of Hospitality and Tourism and Amity University Kolkata for having you with us for today's session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you so much. And for the rest of our participants, I really do appreciate your presence, and just some last few words. Not just hundreds, not just thousands would really want to travel, but millions of them. So we really have to be ready once our borders have opened. And like what I've been mentioning with the rest of my webinars, or even with some of my talks, I always say to them that there's a bigger and more powerful than COVID-19 virus. Do you know what it is? That is the virus too, to travel. So once
Travel.
again, thank you so much.
Thank you.